All right, here we go. Um, Rolling right along here. It is Monday, the 14th. Um, Busy week, but a really good week. And then leading into Thanksgiving uh, next week. So looking forward to that. It's going to be great. It's going to be just a wonderful time to be reminded to be how thankful we are. So let's just start on our calendar here, and then I'll share what I've got, what I learned from church yesterday, and it was interesting, interesting verses yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. All right, if you jump into the calendar here, obviously you've got the Monday morning message that you're listening to now, and then Orchestra Club is tomorrow. That continues, so that's pretty awesome. And then Wednesday, we have a shadow student in 7th grade. Thursday, we have a shadow student in 6th grade. And then, of course, we have chapel on Thursday. And then Friday is Grandparents' Day, and that is always a hit. It's always fun. It's a half day, so we're out at noon, which is pretty cool, too. So there's going to be a program in the morning. Our middle school choir is going to perform during that. I don't know the exact timing of that yet, but I will, obviously, by the time Friday gets here. I'll know that. So that's going to be pretty cool. Here's your dining hall cleanup crew. The opportunity to serve is Tyler and Bryce, Ellis, Weston, and Lena and Alexis and Caleb. So there is your cleanup crew. Thank you in advance for serving your fellow classmates. All right. Couple of things. We've got some stuff coming out soon about our checkpoint club that's going to be meeting. There's options of meeting before and after school, working on executive functioning, some organizing, some planning. And so those details are going to come out in the next couple of days. We met again last week to kind of shore up some final details. So again, that is going to launch probably the first week after Thanksgiving. We're going to do a short run between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we've gotten a lot of requests for this, a lot of inquiries, I should say, for this. And so again, those details will come out in their own separate email. All right. I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Let's kind of move on to church. All right. All right. So the verses are Ephesians 5:21 through 6 verse 9, and so it was interesting. Pastor Joel had a number of folks in the congregation come up and read for us, and that was really cool having them read. It's kind of like the students that read at our chapel last week, so it's always good to hear different voices. This was an interesting interesting set of verses. So I'm just going to figure out how to dive in. Talks a lot about wives and husbands and submitting, a lot of submitting. It was really, it was interesting. It talks about children obeying your parents. It talks about slaves and masters. Slaves obey your earthly masters. It was like a lot of social norms were kind of either talked about or hinted at or just overtly like a hammer looking for a nail. It was interesting, but ultimately the lesson that came out of it was perfect for you and me. And so I'm just going to kind of go through my notes here. So it talks about the verses talk about submitting, and it talks about whether you are the ruler of all or the least of these. Like, we should all be putting others underneath us. In other words, I should go around looking at my classmates, looking at my fellow middle schoolers, looking at my teachers, staff, parents, siblings, those on our teams, whatever. I should be submitting to them. Like, I should be looking and standing under them. Not how do I position myself as sort of over them. So that was one interesting take. So it's not me, I'm going to rule this place and I'm going to put everybody underfoot. No, it's how do I take my needs and flip everything upside down. Okay. So Paul in Ephesians is sort of subverting, just sort of pushing back against all the social norms in Ephesus, which says the slave masters are up here, the slaves are down here. The rulers are up here, and everybody else is down. He is totally flipping that upside down. We are all supposed to submit to one another. Those sitting next to you, behind you, and around you. Those that you pass in the halls. Those that you eat lunch near. We are submitting to them. Okay? We're not lording over them, lowercase l. It's not, I'm here, you're there. That's not what it's about. And then he kind of brought up some quotes from Eugene Peterson, who is, who is the author of this book, The Message, which many of you have seen. And the word that he used in bringing up Eugene Peterson was thingnify. Like, in other words, we're reducing people to objects. So a thing. We're reducing. So how are they useful to us? How are my classmates useful to me is what we've sort of reduced our society to. So, but those that revere Christ, that love Christ, that honor Christ, see Christ in every single person around you. And some of us get in the most silly arguments, or we say the most inappropriate things, and we think, wait a minute, when I say those things and do those things, I'm doing them to Christ. Classmates, friends, sneaky behind the scenes, I am actually talking about Christ, because each person is an image bearer. We talk a lot about that, right, gang? And so thinking about, okay, so let's review for a sec. We are not walking around like a hammer looking for a nail. We are walking around, how do I revere? How do I lift up? How do I submit to every single person that I'm passing in the halls, whether I know their name or not? Because each one of them is an image bearer, and I need to, of Christ, and therefore I need to submit to that as I do Christ. Not, how do I put myself on the king of the mountain here? No. I'm putting myself underneath everybody. I'm putting myself underneath everybody, not looking to climb over the top of everybody. Okay? Okay, so bottom line. We are called to serve and honor Jesus in every person that we meet. So how we treat every person is how we are literally, in that moment, serving and honoring Christ. So here's the question. What would this middle school be like? What would your friendship group be like? What would it mean to you? What would it mean to our community, your community, to live wholeheartedly like that? Imagine if every word that came out of our mouth every action that we did showed submitting to Christ, showed submitting to others. What an unbelievably humble thing that would be for us to do. So you got to be humble. It's the only way this works. If you're walking around like a hammer looking for nails to hit, and you're staying up here and you're not doing this, then we are not living wholeheartedly as Christ has asked us to live. Those are my notes. And I hope that makes a little bit of sense to you. Bottom line, let's live wholeheartedly as Jesus has called us to do. And let's flip the social norms. The social norms, especially people think in middle school, it's sort of this climbing to the mountaintop. That's the only way I'm going to survive. Imagine if every single one of us flipped that totally around. How do I best serve those around me? Imagine what this place would be like. Imagine what your friendship groups would be like. Imagine what your families would be like. Anyway, something to think about. Love y'all. We'll see you in the halls. Take care. Bye.